Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Meshegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. I'm on the Zoom here and I'm just hoping that I'm muted because I couldn't get them to answer the phone this morning in the clerk's office. So, flying blind here. We're flying blind. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I heard that there may not be much happening today because Ken Mello is not going to be able to show up. So we're going to see what happens. Let me just see. I don't like when the Zoom opens me up on the app for Zoom on my laptop. I would rather do it from my browser, but let's just see what is going on here. Give me a second. All right, well, the courtroom feed is up, so there's that. I just want to be muted, so just give me a second. Free Billy Tibbets. Free my boy Billy Tibbets. See how this is going to work. Bettero is on, he's going to be on Zoom today, so there's that. I don't know if this will, all right, to share audio. I don't know if the audio is going to work this way. Well, we'll see. Where's I need an assistant. Anybody know how to work tech that can, I don't know if you can do Zoom government in your browser. Like, I just want to do this in my browser. Hold on, let's try this again. See if I can go in this way. I just want to go in through my browser. I don't know. We're going to try it, guys. We're going to try it. Hopefully I'm not going to disrupt the whole court proceeding by talking to you guys while we're trying to listen to them. See, and then this also isn't working. Good morning, Olivia. Good morning. Let's see if I present it this way. We can do ASMR. We can. Good morning. Oh my God. Did any of you guys watch the to share audio, share a tab instead? That's why it's not going to let me use the audio. Why can't I just do this in my browser? Help. Anyone help? No, there's no decision in the appeal yet, as far as I know. Oh, here, join from your browser. Excellent. Excellent. Meeting link is invalid. Okay, I'm going to shut out of this one and I'm going to go into this one. Leave. Join. All right, here we go. There we go. Okay. All right, we got it. We did it. We did it. Okay, there we go. Good morning. Okay, that's much better. Running late as always, and there's nothing worse than I literally tried calling the clerk's office like 4 times and nobody answered the phone. So maybe they were late getting there. How's everyone? Oh my gosh, I was glued to the television yesterday watching the fires in California. For those of you who weren't with me, we did a show Wednesday night. And while we were doing the show live, another fire broke out in the Hollywood Hills. And last night it was horrific. Another fire broke out in Calabasas around 6 p.m. And then while I was watching it, that fire was deemed to be arson and they had arrested someone. I haven't followed up on it today, but it's insanity. I have so many friends and family in the area. Some had to evacuate, some didn't. Everyone's okay so far, but what is going on with the wildfires in California? The Palisades fire alone has burned more acreage than the entire island of Manhattan. That is like the entire island of Manhattan burning down. It's insane and devastating, and so many people have lost their homes. It's crazy. How's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, Miss Melisa. So glad I found you through the Maya trial. Been watching your channel ever since. Wow, that was a long time ago. When was that trial? I was trying to think about that the other day. Thanks for hanging in here, Melissa. Appreciate you. All right, maybe they'll let me in soon. Yeah, the police arrested the guy yesterday, right? I saw that too.
Okay, let me start with you, Mr. Bradel. What's on today? What's on the agenda? What do you hope to accomplish?
Sorry to keep you. Timothy Bradel for Mr. Kearney for the record. Today, Judge, we have to comply with Judge Krupp's order, which we're in a position to do.
Oh, it's on. It's on.
If we can silence the Zoom people.
You did off yours.
We have the drives to give back, and we've signed the protective order. And we'll be in a position to also provide the taint team keywords by the close of business today.
Okay, great.
We're still working on it, but we're almost there.
Yeah, no, that's great. All right.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask the court, Judge, is that I'm filing a motion to dismiss
Yep.
under McCarthy and Odell. I expect to be in a position to file that by next Thursday.
Okay.
So I was asking for an out-of-court filing date for me of next Thursday. Was going to propose, give the Commonwealth 30 days, and then maybe a 45-day out hearing date.
Does that sound right, Mr. Cosgrove?
That sounds fine, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So that would be,
So motion to dismiss, you'll file it in a week. And then we'll give Mr. Cosgrove into February 10th, 11th, that area?
so out-of-court filing for the defense Thursday, January 16th. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 days, 4 weeks, February 13th. Is that okay?
That sounds right.
And then, Your Honor, when would you like to hear us in person?
I'll be in this session until the end of March. So anytime in March that works for both parties is fine with me.
How about Wednesday, March 5th, Your Honor?
Does that work, Mr. Cosgrove?
That works for, sorry, that works for me, Your Honor.
Okay, great.
And that'll be at 2 p.m.?
Yeah, I think so.
And Judge, just so you know, there's 16 counts on that, so it'll be a little bit of, it'll take a little bit of time.
Okay, that's fine.
And from the defense, Judge, that's all we have today.
Mr. Cosgrove, anything else you think we can accomplish today?
I don't think so, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, why don't I see the lawyers at sidebar? Why not?
Little sidebar. Let's get a look at Bettero. Oh, he turned off his camera. Why did he do us dirty like that? He turned off his camera. So nothing, they gave the keywords for the taint team that we discussed last time. Because, you know, they're still going to use a taint team to go through, I think, at least however many more devices of Aidan's they have, like 4 devices. This is a new judge today. This is Judge Doolin, Doolin. Breath of fresh air from Judge Krupp, who we saw last time. And Bradel has indicated he's going to make a motion to dismiss in a week. And then March 5th at 2 p.m. there will be a hearing. I sent Glare the link. I sent it to him. I just texted it to him. Thanks. Sent him it. It's the I sent him, tell him it's the Zoom room information. I saw your message a few seconds ago, so I just sent it a little while ago.
Yeah.
This matter stands continued to March 5th at 2 p.m. for a non-evidentiary motion to dismiss. Motion to be filed by January 16th. Opposition due on or before February 13th.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, please.
Well, that's that. Let's, I was watching Tom and Boston Mike, and they'll probably get them coming outside the courtroom. I think they had Aidan going into the courtroom. We can go over the lawsuit that he filed against Lindsay Gattani, so don't go anywhere. Because we have that to do if you'd like. I'll see if they catch him coming out of the courtroom, and that's it. That's it. That's Olivia says. Keywords for the things that they are not supposed to look at for the taint team. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? There's a retired judge, Judge Macy, who's going to be in charge of the taint team. A taint team is just hired to go through text messages and things that may be privileged and to sort those out of the other text messages and communications that aren't privileged. And so there's that. And that's it. And we'll see if they catch him coming outside the courthouse. Aside from that, if you want to go over the Lindsay Gattani lawsuit that he filed a lawsuit for defamation against Lindsay Gattani, and also has indicated that if he does not get a public apology from Jennifer Coffendorfer, she may be next. And he put that out there, and we'll see. I can you imagine if she would make a public apology? Has anybody seen that? Yes, that's true. That is true. Law Girls Not Attorney podcast. One of the members of the taint team did do a training with Jessica Hyde. And in fact, on his LinkedIn, we pulled that up last time. He thanked her for her excellent training. So there's that. Scott, good morning. I mean, look, Some people need to learn that there can be ramifications for your behavior. Free speech is not absolute. You can't accuse someone of certain crimes publicly and expect that everything is going to be okay. And that's an okay thing to do because it's not. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, she's threatened me many, many times too. Not threatened, but she's done things to try and attack my credibility, which when you're an attorney, your credibility is one of your most important assets. So when somebody tries to damage you like that publicly and has a huge platform to do it, and tens of thousands of people see it, it's pretty much per se defamation. So that's going to could be a situation for someone such as like her. I'm just saying, wait, this is yesterday's stream. What just happened? Oh my God, it's one of those mornings already. And it really hasn't even started yet. Tell me if you can hear this.
So he'll be right back out.
All right, we'll hear him when he comes out. It is cold. It is cold. That was kind of a nothing. But you got to show up. You got to do the thing. Oh, oh my goodness, wait a second. It's Grant Smith Ellis.
Initially, but apparently they weren't ready for that, or someone or both of them wasn't here. So instead, they gave an update saying the taint team procedure will be in by the end of the day. The keyword search, Aidan's going to submit the words he wants the taint team to search. Aidan's going to file a motion to dismiss, as this is right next week. The response is due in February. We're back on March 5th for the next hearing.
Man.
Okay.
Nice job, Grant. Boom, like that.
A little ways out, March 5th.
He said didn't he say he already gave them the taint team keywords? I thought he said that already. I'm not sure who these folks are, but we'll wait and see if Bradle comes out and says anything. There's nothing happened. Nothing happened. They basically got an adjournment. Mello is nowhere to be found. And so they couldn't do anything. Oh, there's Esty. Let's see what she's got to say.
Grant, I got an awesome present. Thank you so much again. So awesome present. I love it. Thank you, Grant. I got an awesome. Here we go.
Tom, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Grant. I got an awesome present. Thank you so much again. So awesome presents. I love them.
Tom, one birthday request.
Yeah.
Can we, in the spirit of camaraderie, not threaten children by proxy or otherwise, and not threaten to call the state about children?
I don't know. Talk to your friends about that, my
I
friend.
would never do that to you.
I know. And listen, talk to your friends. I don't know nothing about it.
Am I saying that if someone did that to you, that person shouldn't be held accountable?
I'm a licensed foster parent, and the shit they're saying about me is incorrect and wrong.
Who, Kate?
Kate.
Okay, but Tom, did you say you were going to call in Kate kids or Lindsay?
Doesn't matter.
It does.
It's after. It's a response.
Don't hold her.
It's a response.
You're accountable what Kate's doing. You're not Lindsay.
Lindsay called me a pedophile.
Oh, man.
Lindsay called me a pedophile in a text. In a text, she called me a pedophile, a pedo.
And I'm
End of story.
I feel like we're eavesdropping on something we shouldn't be hearing. OMG.
I didn't write that. I didn't write that.
I don't know what
I'm
they're
willing
talking
to
about.
say that was over
These
the line.
Be a cold day in fucking Canton for her that not to happen.
Oh.
Hold on. If I'm willing to say that's over the line,
Yeah.
I would at least willing to say that if Kate was going after your foster parent status, going after Lindsay's kids is just retaliating against the wrong person.
I don't think anybody's going after Lindsay's kids. Okay. Let's just turn off the volume here. You guys can go watch that later if you want to, but I'm not going to be a party to even listening to it, really. I don't know what they're beefing about. Yeah, Tom usually doesn't get into it like that, so it is kind of weird. Kind of weird. I don't know, but I can't do drama today, Lisa. I can't do drama. There's too much drama going on in the world. It's just, we'll see if anything happens, and let me get that lawsuit ready for you. We can take a look at it. Oh, really? Shock and horror, really? Plevin went after Tom a few days ago. It's been bad. Yes, that is Grant, and he did get a haircut. Somebody said he looks like I forget whose haircut he got, like Justin Baldoni's haircut or something. Oh my goodness! You guys can go over to Tom CPU and I don't know what the name. They have a new channel now. Seeking Justice with Tommy and Boston Mike. Give him a like here. I'll give him a like. You guys give him a like. You can go back there later and watch that beef if you want to. Well, I'm not going to jump into Baldoni from this stream. It's got to be a separate stream. Try again with a different name. Lindsay did, and Grant is defending her, and no one's gone after Lindsay's kid except for Lindsay. I don't know what's going on with those people, but I'm not that interested. Thank you, On Top. Thanks for your super sticker. I appreciate you so much. Look at Fairy Raven tuning in from Ireland. Has been here for 11 months. Almost a year in the best company. Oh, you're the best company. No, you are. No, you are. Thanks for Mingo Chicky for your super sticker. Good morning, Tracy. Thanks for the 5. This is crazy. The search terms should be privileged. Yeah, it's crazy. The whole thing is crazy. We're in the upside down. Welcome to Norfolk Superior Court. Mike B from the 413. Thanks for your 5. Brian Walsh's lawyers argued this week for Proctor-related matters. I was listening to that while I was walking around the supermarket, and the feed was terrible. The live feed from, I think it was Boston 25, was terrible. Kept going in and out and in and out, and so I wanted to play it for you, but it's terrible. Plus, Kevin Reddington filed more motions for Dr. Turk regarding Proctor and others. I have all that stuff. If you guys are interested in it, let me know. The thing about Turk is Turk's trial is starting right before Karen's trial. So far, anyway. Turk's trial is supposed to start on March something, end of March. Right before Karen's trial is supposed to start. So they're going to conflict, but hold on, March 25th. Uh-oh, what happened to his camera?
Jerry.
No, something happened to his camera. We'll see if it picks back up. So if you want to cover that stuff on Turk and on Walsh, let me know. But they are arguing that they should get a hold of all of Proctor's stuff because of everything that happened. Yeah, April is Karen, but if jury selection on Turk starts on the 25th, they're going to overlap. Maybe not. Maybe we can do both. Maybe if Turk is going to even be televised, it might. Somebody's saying that did they stream the entire thing on Court TV of Brian Walsh, or did they just stream like parts of it? Did they just do commentary? Oh, something else that I wanted to show you. Vinny's show from the other night. I think Vinny's turning. I think he's turning over to the good side.
So big time.
Here's Esty.
Hi, how are you? Hi. Inappropriate? You want to talk about
All right. All right. They streamed parts of it. Yeah, I wanted the whole hearing. Well, maybe good enough just to see parts. Let me pull the lawsuit up so we can take a look at that straight away after this. See if he gets any commentary from Bradel and Aidan, but really nothing happened. We saw everything that happened on the Zoom and nothing happened. Taint teams have been given, the keywords have been given to the Taint team coming back on March 5th to discuss the motion to dismiss that they are going to file in a week. And that's basically it for this case anyway. Look at Faye gifting 5 memberships. Welcome. Welcome to the 5 new members who have been so kindly gifted by Faye. Thank you, Faye. Appreciate you. Oh my, he's going to get himself in trouble, Grant, one of these days, I swear. Oh, thanks, Letter O's by Better O. A member for 12 months. You're like an OG. I think I've only had memberships for a little bit over 12 months. The drama in this case seems to be never ending. Absolutely never ending. It's a lot. Okay. Thank you to all of you who have sent me your emails. I don't always get a chance to respond to them, but I do read them. So thank you for that. Please don't send me any pictures of your dog bites because I can't stomach them and I can't unsee them. Thank you. All right, nothing's happening yet. Yes, Vinny's. There's some interesting things in Vinny's own personal show that I want to show you. He has his own channel, you know. That's the channel that I'm trying to beat out for subscribers. We're about 10,000 behind him. So if anybody who's not a subscriber, would you please hit the subscribe button? I would appreciate that so much because it will help me in my personal quest to beat Vinnie Politan in his YouTube subscriber numbers. But his show that he did was called Prosecutorial Madness, and it was very interesting. We're going to take a look at that, or parts of it anyway, after this, if anything happens here. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, well, got to do what we can, right? We will get by. We will survive. Tisha, Vinny wasn't saying anything. She's innocent, but he said the Commonwealth is basically nervous and doing things that show it. I mean, if you read between the lines, I think that he said that what he thinks happened the other day at the Daubert hearing was absolute insanity. And I think if you read between the lines there, I think he also said that he doesn't believe the Commonwealth is looking for the truth. He believes they're trying to keep out the truth. So it's interesting. You guys can make your own decisions, but that's what I think. All right, we'll do Turk. Marissa says Vinny doesn't agree with people not getting fair trials, and I'm here for it. So there's that. Thanks, Casey. No drama zone. This is why I love your channel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Casey. Yeah, if you guys want that drama, you know where to go. There's a lot of other places you can go for that. Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. I haven't had a chance to work my voice out yet. Sorry, Sweet Caroline. Thanks for the 20. Can the parties have a sworn deposition performed with Mello since he seems to be critically ill? No disrespect either to Mello. Depends on if they, well, it wouldn't be a deposition. I mean, they want his testimony. They want him to come in and testify. So could it be done by Zoom? It could. It's up to the judge. It's the judge's at the judge's discretion. So I think they should try and get some kind of testimony from him. That may be part of what their motion is next time. We'll see. Thank you for your 20. Musafa's illegitimate son. Thanks for gifting another 5 memberships. Look at that. We have 10 new members already today. And on top, thank you for the super sticker. That's very generous of you, Mufasa. Mufasa's illegitimate son. Thank you on top. Thank you, Iris. Says I watched Vinny yesterday and I was stunned that he finally gets it. Was that only from yesterday? I think it was, right? This show that he did solo, Iris. That's the one I'm talking about. It's the one I'm talking about. Bite my bits. Says, I've thought Vinny got it before, but I think he's too bound to his network position to stand up and say the truth, which he said. But this is on his own channel. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he really doesn't have the freedom to say what he wants to say because he is employed by Court TV. So there's that. Hello, Nick Rocco. Any update on AJ's house in California? If you have it, let me know. Let me know if you have it. Good morning, Shelby. Crystal got to be in court on Tuesday with Aidan, said it was epic. Yeah, I think there's only audio available of that, right? I think he played it on his channel. I mean, I don't know what they're going to say when they come out anyway, but we'll wait. We're here for it. Oh, look at Aidan Higgins. Did you change your name to match this trial? From Dublin. Karen Reed case has a big following in Ireland. He's telling us, love you, Aidan. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. And all of my Irish fans. Love you guys. Hello, Nurse Kim. Good morning. Good morning. There she is. Good morning. Good morning, Kimmy. I don't know. Sassy bartender. I don't know. It's not for me to question his health, but I've heard he has been sick. Heard he has been sick. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name here. Preposterous mythology, something like that. Preposterous mythology. Maybe that's what it says. I didn't like Dr. Dogbite comments in the last trial, but other than that, I'm endeared by Vinnie. He seems genuine. I mean, I'm a fan of Vinnie's for, since like the OJ days, since like the 90s.
Canton TTV right there, right?
Well,
He can be a little hyperbolic sometimes. He's very animated. He's very passionate about what he does. I don't think he's got a mean bone in his body. I don't know, chronic entanglement. I think Vinnie might be. I think Vinnie is changing his. I mean, listen, I first spoke to Vinnie about this case almost exactly a year ago. It was in January of last year. I was on a show called Profiling Evil with Mike King. Do you guys know Mike King? And Vinnie and I were guests on that show. And I said to Vinnie, hey, if you ever want to talk about Karen Reed, call me. And he did. He called me to be on a show. And I went on that show twice before I even started covering the case on my channel. And Jennifer Koffendorfer was on it when I was on it. And boy, did she try and tear me a new one for thinking that was a dog attack. And ever since then, I've had a personal beef with her. And because of that show, actually, I found Garrett Wing, who it was recommended to me by one of my amazing moderators. And I called Garrett or got in touch with him. And I said, hey, you want to come on my show? I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. I just want to know your opinions on an injury that I think maybe dog bites. And I showed him a picture. He didn't know anything about the case. And he came on with me and we did a fantastic show together. You can go look for it. And he's a canine trainer. He's been a canine trainer his whole entire life. He grew up with his father was a canine trainer. I think his grandfather was a canine trainer. And he teaches dogs how to bite, canine dogs. That is what he does. He brought in a prosthetic arm and showed us like the prosthetic arm and how dogs bite and why sometimes if it's an untrained dog, there will not be any bottom teeth because the dog is not trained to bite. Canine dogs are trained to bite and hold. And their bites are very different from a pet. But German Shepherds have vicious propensities. They're very, very loyal to their owners. And so they would get involved in a fight. And that was a great show. So there's that. Yeah, they said Mello's really sick. Thank you. It was a great show. I think that's my highest viewed show ever. That has well over 100,000 views, that show. So maybe I'll link it if you guys haven't seen it. There's a shorter version and a longer version. Nick says Allen's home as of last night was untouched, black skies, air filled with smoke, holding strong as of now. Waiting on the morning update. Thank you, Nick. It's horrific what's going on. I'm so affected by it. Just emotionally, it's so hard to watch all day long, especially since they're saying that the last fire that was set in Calabasas is arson and they have someone in custody, but I need to follow up on that today. So I don't want to spread any misinformation. Horrific. Horrific. Hello, Queen Olive. Thanks for being a member for 8 months. Appreciate you. Yep. Sandra, the Beatles fan, says prosthetic arm looked just like John's arm. Thanks, Clara. Yeah, me too. I know. It's horrible. I have not even turned on the news today. I watched News Nation all day yesterday. That's all they covered the entire day. And now they're talking about the insurance cluster duck, the insurance cluster duck that's going to happen because State Farm and many other major carriers pulled out of California a couple of months ago and they were just like, peace out. We're not covering you for fire insurance anymore. Good luck to you. And the state started a state self-insured fund that is like the bare bones minimum. So many of these people do not have fire insurance and it's horrific. It's bad. I don't know. We don't really need to wait for this. Let me show you a little bit. I mean, if I'll stop it. So if they come out, we can go back to it. But I want to show you a little bit about what Vinnie had to say. I kind of ranted a little bit in the beginning and I thought this was really interesting. This is his take on the Marie Russell hearing. Come on, let's go full screen, man. What's going on?
seeing in the Karen Reed. This is prosecutorial madness, what I'm seeing in the Karen Reed case.
Listen up. Can you hear it?
They are not acting like normal prosecutors. And are they breaking any rules? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But you really have to pull back from this and take a look at the big picture to fully understand how different all this is, and then try to understand why. That's what I'm interested in, is why are they acting the way they are acting? And there might be an answer to it. And there might be a pretty simple answer to it. But what we're seeing right now in the Karen Reed case,
Told you.
I've only really seen in one other place, but that was more the actions of the judge than the prosecutor, although it kind of
Listen to what he's comparing Karen Reed to. Listen up, people.
goes hand in hand. In the Delphi case,
Delphi.
and what you're seeing is prosecutors not acting the way they normally do in trying a case.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been covering cases across the nation, the highest profile cases, for decades now at Court TV. That's all we do, is cover high profile cases. So these are cases many times with strong defense teams, with defendants who may have money, they may have fame.
He's a little bit slow talking, so I'm just going to turn up the speed a little bit. But I was really impressed to hear this from Vinnie, because you don't usually hear this from Vinnie. I mean, comparing Karen Reed to Delphi, come on.
They may have access to resources that the day-to-day defendant in our system doesn't have. And that's certainly the case here. But it doesn't change everyone's role. And I've spoken at length through the years about the role of the defense attorney and the role of the prosecutor and how they're different. And when I usually talk about it, I'm usually attacking the defense, sort of in a passive aggressive way, but attacking the defense in what their role is in the courtroom. But what I'm seeing here is a little different, and I'm going to explain it all. It will make sense once I put all my thoughts together for you and lay them out. But the bottom line is this is not normal, what we're seeing. I'm Vinnie Politan. You're watching Vinnie Live.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh, that song gives me anxiety. Okay, hang on.
The facts are what they are. The evidence is what it is. You present it and you believe that it proves you. Prosecutor is there for the truth, and the truth equals justice, right? You let the facts are what they are. The evidence is what it is. You present it and you believe that it proves that the defendant did it. Okay. First of all, you have to have a good faith belief yourself, and the evidence has to be there. You can't bring a case that you don't believe can prove it, and you don't bring a case certainly against someone you believe did not commit the offense that you're charging with. That's number one. And it's very rare that a prosecutor would ever violate that. But in addition to that, your obligation is to the truth and the truth only. Okay. Your role is not to win the case. It's not, all right, one side is here, one side there. Your job is to win. Whatever it takes, you go there with no. You want the evidence and the facts to be put in front of the jury. And then you believe that once those facts and evidence is put in front of the jury, that it clearly proves that the defendant did it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've proven it beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. That's your job. And the truth. It's all about the truth, because that's how you equal justice. I mean, someone gets indicted because they did it, right? That's your job as a prosecutor. At least you believe they did it. Now, a defense attorney, on the other hand, completely different. No obligation to the truth whatsoever.
Yep.
And that's the only way our system works. Their obligation is to their client, is to do whatever's in the best interest of the client. They don't have to lay out all the evidence. As a matter of fact, they have no obligation to put in any evidence at all. They can remain completely silent and do nothing. The burden is on the other side to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Their job is to protect the rights of the accused. So it's not equal. So when you hear the arguments inside the courtroom, I say this all the time, a prosecutor ethically, if they're acting ethically, should only be arguing about the truth, should not be trying to brush over some things and try to take something.
All right, so everybody's hating on Vinnie in the chat. Please don't hate on Vinnie on my channel. Thank you. And also read between the lines here. He gets it.
And turn it and twist it to win the case. No, your job is to just lay out the facts as they are, make the argument, and tell the jury how the facts, when applied to the law, equal guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It's really that simple. Defense attorney, it's much different, first of all. Like, they have no obligation, number one. Number two, their job is to protect the rights, to make sure that their client does not get convicted if the prosecution has not provided the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's a layer of protection. And sometimes people who have committed the offense are found not guilty. Our system is set up that way to set guilty people free before one innocent person gets convicted. And that's why the roles are so different. And that's why defense attorneys are given more leeway and have no ethical obligation to the truth. Whereas that is the ethical obligation of the prosecution. Okay, so now you lay that out and it makes sense. It's the way the system works. It's the way that people can be prosecuted, but we don't give complete and total power to prosecutors, right? They have the burden, they've got to prove it, and we give a little bit of an advantage to the defense in the ethical obligations of a defense attorney. Sometimes they don't like it when I point this out, that they don't have an obligation to the truth, but they don't. And if they did, then the system couldn't work, because if they knew that their client did it, they're going to agree with the prosecution? How is that a system of justice? That doesn't work. So that's why it's different. So why do I lay all this out? Because I've been saying this for years and years and years. So what's happening here? What is the madness that I'm talking about? Well, the first step of the madness is you have an office. The Norfolk County DA's office has 130 employees. They're not all lawyers. Some are investigators, some are support staff, et cetera. I get it. But it's a big office. It's 130 employees. Yet they don't have one person in there that they believe can prosecute this case.
That's what we've been saying. That's what Mark Petero and I have been saying for a very long time. They got to go outside their office and hire a guy like Hank Brennan, who's a defense attorney, and pay him 75 grand, which, by the way, he's probably already blown through, even at $250 an hour, because nobody else in the prosecutor's office will touch it.
So they have to go out and spend, I think it's $75,000 to bring in an outsider. And that's why I think things have gotten a little bit crazy here. Okay. And that's because they've hired someone who's a good attorney, really good attorney, but he's really a defense attorney. And the way he is trying this case right now is like a defense attorney, but he's a prosecutor and he's trying it like a defense attorney. What do I mean by this?
See?
What do I mean?
He doesn't agree with it.
What do defense attorneys do before trial? We have all this pretrial litigation. Everything they do is they file motions to get evidence excluded, right? They try to get evidence suppressed or excluded. They want to keep stuff from the jury because it makes their client look guilty, right? But that's what defense attorneys are supposed to do. That's what defense attorneys have to do to keep the system honest. But now we're in bizarro world, where the prosecution is filing motion after motion after motion to exclude evidence and witnesses who testified in the first trial.
See? He thinks it's bizarro world, you guys.
Like, that's what defense attorneys do. I get it. He is a defense attorney.
We're in the
But right
upside
now,
down.
he's a $75,000 prosecutor working on one case.
Mm-hmm.
And his approach to all of this is like a defense attorney. I'm going to win this case, and I'm going to win it by keeping evidence from getting in front of the jury.
Yep.
He's allowed to file these motions, right? He may or may not win. I don't know.
Look at
But just
his
think about the
eyes.
mentality, because when I think of our system of justice and I think about being a prosecutor, which I was, and defense attorneys, it's always about the bigger picture of what your job, what your role is, how it's supposed to work. So the system works, and the system is broken. I pointed this out on another video at some point. I don't know. I've said it on the air as well. Right now, in cities across this country, we have people who've been elected as local prosecutors and DAs in offices who ran not to prosecute people, but to reform justice and set people free and not prosecute criminals. And it's destroyed cities. It's destroyed cities. It's made things more dangerous. It has upset the system because they're not concerned about the truth. They're not concerned about taking the facts and applying to the law. They are concerned about how many criminals can I set free? And they have disrupted the system, and not in a good way. And I believe here, the same thing is happening, but in a different way, where the system and the roles are being disrupted and throwing things out of whack.
And not in a good way.
A prosecutor who doesn't want the jury to see or hear things. Like, if you've indicted someone.
Right. He's saying this prosecutor doesn't want the jury to hear the truth. This prosecutor does not want the defendant, Karen Reed, to be able to put on her case and to put on her theory of the case. And it is bizarre.
Who committed the offense that you've charged them with, put your evidence in. Let them put their evidence in. Your evidence should be enough to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, because that's your job and that's your belief. It's almost to the point that you almost shouldn't care what they put in. Oh, they're going to bring in this expert to say this. Well, I'll get the expert who will say the truth, and you have a battle of the experts. Like, it's really strange. And I don't know if, I haven't covered a lot of cases in Massachusetts recently. I don't know how things have changed, but why do we have prosecutors trying to keep evidence from being heard by the jury? To me, that just makes me skeptical. Skeptical as a former prosecutor, skeptical as a legal journalist. Like, what are you doing? It's the same feeling I had in the Delphi case, which is very different than this case.
to say that he's getting a feeling in Karen Reed the same as he had in the Delphi case, that's huge. It's huge. He's on Court TV. He has to like pretend to be normal on Court TV, but this is his own channel. And he has a little bit more latitude. And you know what? I give him a lot of credit for this. I give him a lot of credit.
Very different. And again, this doesn't go to the ultimate truth of the case. This goes to how our system figures out the truth, which is important because it affects everyone and every case. If we start changing the system, like in Delphi, the judge tried to prevent the defendant from having the counsel of his choice, who had volunteered their time to try the case. It wasn't like they're asking for state money. They were just, he wants us to represent him. We want to represent him. And you're not allowing us, judge? Like that was insane. And if that becomes like a precedent that a judge can decide who gets to represent the defendant, like, no, that's up to the defendant. That's like in the Constitution. So that's why this is upsetting to me, because it's bigger and goes beyond this case and this defendant.
It's not just about Karen Reed. That's right, Vinny. That's what I've been saying. I've been screaming into a closet for a year now. It's been a year. Karen Reed could be any one of us. This is not just about Karen Reed. He's right. Praise be.
Like, do we want prosecutors now to be of the mindset that our job is to win? And if the defense has a defense or has evidence they want to present, that we need to make sure the jury doesn't see it, the jury doesn't hear it? Does that sound like our system? It's a little.
Lavinia, I've never heard Vinny say that he thinks Karen's guilty. Vinny is a smart guy. And I've had conversations with Vinny about the injuries not lining up with a car accident. And he's never said that Karen's guilty, to my knowledge. If anybody can point to me anywhere where Vinny has said that he thinks Karen's guilty, please point it out to me, because that's not true.
A little strange. It's a little strange to me. It's a little foreign to me and to my mindset my mindset always was, listen, I've got someone here who's been indicted. I've got my evidence here. All my evidence proves it. What are they going to put in there? All right, let them put in their evidence. My job as a prosecutor is cross-examination and make the argument to the jury as to why that evidence is ridiculous or makes no sense. So in this case, it's not just the dog bite expert from yesterday. It's Richard Green, their digital forensic expert, talking about the alleged Google searches. And now it's the accident reconstructionists. All of it. Like, they don't want the guys who did the investigation for the feds, for the FBI, who the defense called in the first trial, they don't want them to be permitted to testify. They don't want Richard Green, the one.
T. Shaw says he also never said she's innocent. How many attorneys out there besides me have said that she's innocent? And guess what? I don't have an employer. I'm my own boss. I don't have to report to Court TV and try and see both sides and be neutral. And I'm not a neutral channel. I say that every single time, almost. I'm not a cupcake. I can't make everyone happy. I'm going to tell you my opinions. But there's a lot of other, and I take a lot of heat for that, by the way. There's a lot of law tubers out there who don't want to pick a side. They want to just come on and report, and that's fine for them. And there's people who would much rather watch that than watch me. But I think that I'm reading between the lines here, and I know Vinny, and from what I know about Vinny, I know that Vinny gets it. He's just not allowed to say it because of where his paycheck comes from, if you catch my meaning.
Whose expert opinion was that the Google search, how's long to die in the cold, was at 2:27 in the morning. They don't want him to testify. And as you saw in court, they don't want the dog bite expert, the doctor, the ER doctor for 30 years who's seen 500 bites, to give her opinion on what she saw. Now, you don't have to believe any of their opinions. Their opinions can be wrong. I've covered a lot of trials at Court TV. There've been a lot of experts who have given opinions that have not been believed by the jury. And we have battle of the experts. Well, if this expert is so wrong, put your expert on.
That's
who can
right.
tell the jury why that expert.
Right. Don't try and keep her experts out just because your experts disagree. And don't make some completely frivolous, bogus, disingenuous argument that Dr. Russell is not qualified to testify about the cause of the injuries to John O'Keefe's right arm. Are you kidding me? She's the most qualified expert, doctor, medical witness that I've ever seen. And the reason that I told you when I first interviewed Garrett Wing, not having known a lot about Judge Kearney, except for the pretrial stuff that we covered, that she wouldn't allow someone like Garrett Wing to testify about the cause of those injuries is because she has said, and it was brought up again during the last hearing, that she will not allow anyone to testify about cause of injuries unless they are a medical doctor. And that is why it's a good thing that Dr. Russell reached out to them because she's a medical doctor who has treated dog bites. A veterinarian does not treat dog bites. If your child gets bit by a dog, do you take him to the veterinarian or do you take him to the ER? Medical examiners do not see a lot of dog bites because most people do not, hardly anybody dies from dog bites. I think in the thousands of autopsies that Dr. Marie Russell has done, only one of them was a dog bite victim who died from dog bites, and that was a child. So because Judge Kearney has said the only person allowed to testify about the causation of injuries is a medical doctor, somebody like Garrett Wing, who knows more about dog bites than anyone, I would submit to you, she may not allow his testimony. Now that the tides have shifted and Hank Brennan wants to all of a sudden bring in this Crosby guy who's like a behaviorist, a dog behaviorist or a dog psychiatrist. I don't know. I really don't know what he is, but he's not a medical doctor. And now they say they found Chloe and they have a mold of her mouth. Who cares? What is that even going to do for anybody? Evident. And then at the last trial, you got Lally arguing that forensic odontology is junk science. So which is it, shield or sword? You got a different prosecutor now, but he's still working for the Norfolk County DA's office because it's not a conflict. And he's still got sad sack Lally sitting next to him with his poor posture, who has been demoted to water boy. Still the same team. It's not like they had to go outside the office to hire a prosecutor because there was something like a conflict. And now they're going to just flip all of their opinions, shockingly, but not. And now try and somehow get into evidence that they actually found Chloe and they can prove that it's Chloe and they have a mold and therefore those couldn't be dog bites. Like, if they're not dog bites, why do you care about finding Chloe?
Is ridiculous and makes no sense.
And dogs' teeth shift and change, you're right.
That's the way it works. That's the way you should want it to work. Like if the other side has a case or has evidence, put it up there. I'm not worried about your evidence. I'm worried about the truth.
That's right.
And I'm putting my evidence out there that is the truth. And if yours isn't, I should be able to demonstrate to the jury that it's not the truth.
That's right.
Like that's normal. That's what happens in normal trials. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trials that we've covered on Court TV for decades. These two cases, Delphi and now Karen Reed, really had me like, what's going on? Delphi, it was like the judge was seemingly doing stuff on her own, which was bizarro. This one, you brought in an aggressive attorney, but he's a defense attorney, and he's prosecuting this case like a defense attorney. And there's a different role that you have and a different mindset. And I'm sure, he was a prosecutor. He knows all this, but he also knows as a defense attorney the things that you do and the way you approach a case. And I am not comfortable with it as a former prosecutor. And I've been attacked for years. Vinnie, you're a prosecutor.
He's not comfortable with it. He's telling us he's not comfortable with the way that Hank Brennan is trying this case. There it is. You just heard it. I'll play it again a little bit louder for those in the back. Vinnie is a former prosecutor. I don't know how long he was a prosecutor for, but
all this, but he also knows as a defense attorney the things that you do and the way you approach a case. And I am not comfortable with it as a former prosecutor. And I've been attacked for years. Vinnie, you're a prosecutor. You always take their side. It's all, everyone's guilty. Everyone's guilty. This isn't even about guilty, not guilty. This is about how it has to work in order for the jury to figure it out.
See?
Like I would get upset a lot of times when the defense would get evidence suppressed. And I'm like, let the jury see it. Let the jury hear it. Let the jury weigh it. Make your arguments, but don't hide stuff from the jury. The jury's trying to figure out what happened. The more information they have, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Shouldn't it be that way?
And I'm usually making this argument and the roles are reversed.
Right.
Like the defense is trying to keep all this stuff from being in front of the jury. And I've attacked the defense for that. And I understand they're doing their job, but I'm like, I think in our system, the rules of evidence oftentimes put the jury in a place where they're not getting a clear picture of what happened.
Yeah, like Delphi.
And 99 times out of 100, or maybe 999 times out of 1,000, it's because of what the defense is attempting to have suppressed. And yeah, we have a constitution, we have constitutional protections. And if the evidence was obtained illegally, it has to be suppressed. It has to be suppressed. But there are other times where there's other pieces of evidence where you're weighing probative versus prejudicial value. And those arguments are
like without a warrant?
Judgment calls, literally judgment calls by a judge based upon the arguments of counsel. And in those cases, I think you should lean more towards letting the jury see and hear more of the evidence so they can weigh the evidence themselves, figure it out, 12 people discuss it, and come to a consensus on what happened and what it means. But once you start preventing them from seeing and hearing the evidence, they're not getting the whole picture. And I think we're doing a misservice to our jury. Let them see more, not less. So
Right.
why is the prosecution doing this? I think they're doing this because, and think about this is not like outrageous evidence that there's no way the defense should be allowed to have this. This is all evidence that was part of the first trial. Do you understand that? Like this
Preach.
judge permitted this evidence in the first trial and suddenly would not permit it in the second trial.
Right.
That's strange. If the defense was attempting to do this, I'd be shocked. Not in any case. In any case, if the defense in a retrial was trying to get stuff suppressed that was allowed in the first trial, I'd be like, come on, guys, give me a break. You know it's admissible, right? But now it's the other way around. It's got my head spinning because I'm not used to this. This is not the way.
It's got his head spinning. Picking up what he's laying down here. This whole thing has his head spinning. Hank Brennan has his head spinning. What are we doing? All of these witnesses already testified in the first trial. Now you're going to come in and say they're not qualified to testify in the second trial. What? What? Hi, Mike B from the 413. Yeah, Hank filed about ARCA on Tuesday morning. Thanks for the dues. We covered that filing. It's not even a motion. It's a notice that I may in the future file a motion to exclude them and for a Daubert hearing. So what he did was, what he seems to be doing is grabbing headlines. That's what he's doing. That was a big bomb that he dropped at the Daubert hearing, that Chloe was alive. I didn't know that. We didn't know that. I don't know if anybody knew that. If anybody has an inside track to what's going on with the defense knew, I think. They must have known because Brennan said, don't you know that we invited you and the defense team to come while we went to visit Chloe? So what he filed is not really a motion to keep them out, just a notice that maybe in the future he's going to file a motion to keep them out, which is also weird. Like if you're going to file your motion, just file your damn motion. It would take you the same amount of time. But that was for headlines. Thank you on top. I'm behaving. We're here just for you. Thank you. Marie Martin says, thanks for 10. Hi, the judge yelled at Alessi about not stating objections, but she let Brennan. How is that fair? Well, there's nothing that she's done ever that's fair. I mean, let's face it. She doesn't want anybody stating grounds for objections. I've said it a million times. In New York, you object and the judge will sit there and wait for you to say why. You don't just get to object and just for any blanket reason. And it appeared to me during the first trial that Lally objected every time something wasn't good for him. Objection. I don't want to know the answer. Objection. I don't want anybody to hear the answer. It's not a valid grounds for an objection. Many times they went to sidebar, and that's why we never heard why things were admitted into evidence, like ridiculous screenshots from Allie McCabe of her text messages with Colin, which couldn't be authenticated and were certainly not the best evidence. Why those were ever allowed in, I will never know. They never should have been allowed in. That inverted video never should have been allowed in. There are more evidentiary issues than I could even count to talk about. But it wound up in a mistrial, and a mistrial is better than a conviction. And we still haven't heard from the SJC, so we don't even know what's going to happen with that juror issue. Also, Brennan had lunch with Jill Daniels' lawyer and the father of Colin Albert's lawyer. All right, well, that doesn't shock me or surprise me. He's allowed to do that. But thank you. Thanks, Marie, for your super chat. Dewey says, I keep fantasizing that Lally will finally get sick of being a glorified pencil sharpener and will flip. Well, he doesn't really seem to be rah, Team Brennan. He doesn't really seem to be helping him very much because some of the motions that we've seen him file that we've discussed have been not just improper, but improperly filed, facially deficient. He's not attaching any affidavits of anyone with knowledge, which is exactly what Alessi argued during the Daubert motion. Like, where's their expert to come in here and say that she's wrong? Like, this is just all blanket statements, most of which Brennan shouted in his closing statement for that hearing, which, by the way, she gave them a half an hour for, when she only gave them an hour for closing after a 9-week trial, which is insane. And like half the stuff that he said in that closing were facts not in evidence. They were absurd. Absurd. Pensa Peggy, thanks for the 5. Remember Dr. Lewis and the Letitia Stout case? I didn't follow that case. She was allowed to testify. A documentary about it. Her infamy shows the madness in this case. That was before my time as a law tuber. Thank you, Pensive Peggy. Maybe some other people in the chat know and can make that connection. So let's do a little bit more of this, and then we'll take a look at the lawsuit.
It usually goes. This is not the usual pre-trial battles that you have inside a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's really weird, and it has me question. I don't think, though. I mean, what the prosecution is asking is the judge to overrule herself in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you allowed this in the first trial, but you were wrong, judge. You can't allow it in the second trial, and here's why.
Yep.
Because it was all permitted in the first trial. Like, put the evidence up there. If you've got new evidence, great. And I think prosecutors are developing some new evidence. They've got some new experts. They've done some testing. They've got some information. If that's going to be different in the second case, great. That's the way it's supposed to be. But to make the second case different by excluding things that were in the first one doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. We'll see how it all turns out. You know, this may be all about nothing. Maybe the judge will just allow everything. But
who knows?
Personally, I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with it.
He's not comfortable with it.
Because of, as I said off the top, the different role between a prosecutor and defense attorney. Prosecutor, I always want more information in front of the jury, not less, more information. You know, the one place where the battle usually is fought, and it's not any part of this case, but the one time where prosecutors try to limit information is when it comes to when the defense is attacking the victim who can't speak for him or herself, right? Is attacking their character or anything like that, right? And those are times where, all right, prosecutors got to step up and protect the victim to a certain extent. We can't turn this into a trial of the victim, depending on the circumstance of the case. But that's the limited time when you usually see this level of aggressiveness from a prosecution in limiting what a jury gets to see and hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their expert for the computer is basically saying that it's not even up for debate. Like, this is so crystal clear. And I'm like, okay, if it's so crystal clear, then go into the courtroom and say that to the jury.
Here's what I think. I think they can't find an expert to come in and say those are definitely not dog bites. I think they cannot find a medical witness to come in and testify that John O'Keefe's right arm injuries were caused by an exploding taillight. What doctor is going to come in and risk their reputation to come in and say something as ridiculous as that? That's why I think they're fighting this so hard, because they can't find anybody to refute what she's got to say. My opinion.
The fact that your expert is better, or your expert is so convinced, or your expert works for the company and understands everything, that's great. That's for the trial.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the trial. That's for the jury to figure out.
He's on 1.5 speed.
Not for the judge to exclude it so the jury never hears any of that evidence. That's not right. That's not right. Just beat them. Beat them with the facts. Beat them with your expert, and beat them with your arguments. But you don't beat them by not letting them fight.
That's right. Right. Preach, Vinny. Preach. See, I was happy with that. That's where I stopped. Well, there's more. You can go back and watch him later if you'd like, but that's what we're gonna listen to for this part of the show. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, that part about Dr. Kinsey. Dr. Kinsey did a podcast with Brandy Churchwell, and he's a forensics expert, right? He testified in the Murdoch trial. So for Hank Brennan to get up there and say, "Did you know that Dr. Kinsey's opinion is this, 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 and this?" From watching a YouTube show, Dr. Kinsey didn't write a report for Brennan. He didn't write a report for the Commonwealth. You're just going to cherry pick some things that Dr. Kinsey said on social media and represent them as fact without relaying his entire opinion that he said and the cherry picked sentence that he picked out. In what world is that allowable, admissible? And maybe the defense just let him go because they're just like, let him go. We know what he's doing is improper. There's no jury here. And I think Alessi tied it up nicely in his closing. But even Vinny can see, and his video is titled Prosecutorial Madness. So that's what I wanted to show you from that. Let's take a look at the defamation lawsuit Aidan Kearney has filed against Lindsay Gattani, because this is also interesting. Anybody know if Coffendorfer has apologized yet? All righty, my friends, this is a lawsuit. Aidan Kearney versus Lindsay Gattani. This was filed on the 8th. What's today? Today is January 10th, 2025. This was filed on January 8th, 2 days ago, in the county of Worcester. You say Worcester? Do you say Worcester? Well, it's not Worcester. I say Worcester. I used to see the Grateful Dead in Worcester a lot. Those were always very good shows, and Massachusetts was always fun to come visit as a college kid. Coming to the Worcester, what is the Worcester Centrum? Spectrum? Does it still exist? I don't even know. It was always a fun time. Worcester. Worcester? All right, it's Worcester, says Ali Guz Guz. Here's the plaintiff's complaint with the demand for a jury trial. It was the Centrum, yeah, the Centrum. Okay, it was the Centrum because there was another, I think it was Philly that had the Spectrum, and Worcester had the Centrum. Plaintiff's complaint with demand for jury trial. Parties. Plaintiff Aidan Kearney is a resident of Holden, Worcester County, Massachusetts. Thanks for helping me with my Boston pronunciations. Defendant Lindsay Gattani is a resident of Medfield, County of Norfolk, Massachusetts. Typically in civil cases such as this one, you can pick, well, in New York anyway, and that's where I'm admitted. So jurisdiction can be either the plaintiff's residence or the defendant's residence. You can pick your county. Or if it's a corporation you're suing, their place of business. Facts common to all counts. This is a cold read for me. I have not read this yet. I have not watched anybody read it yet either. So we're reading cold. And we're going to get out the red pen because you know I love a red pen. All right, just in case we need it. But of course, we always do. Facts common to all counts. Plaintiff restates and re-avers paragraphs 1 and 2 as if expressly rewritten. That is just legalese. That basically means I'm incorporating what I just said into the entire complaint. The plaintiff restates and okay, I said that. On multiple dates and occasions beginning in 2024, the defendant, Lindsay Gattani, has made defamatory statements about the plaintiff. On multiple dates and occasions beginning in 2024, the defendant Gattani has written and published to her social media accounts and to other sources and media defamatory statements about the plaintiff. The following paragraphs are separate and distinct examples of defamatory statements and writings made by the defendant. A. On or about June 29, 2024, the defendant described the plaintiff as the abusive, lying grapist himself. If you know, you know. On a social media account. B. On June 29th, 2024, the defendant wrote, "Do not ever tag that grapist on my page ever again," referring to the plaintiff. On July 5th, 2024, the defendant wrote and posted, "Kearney is the grapist." On July 17th, 2024, the defendant referred to the plaintiff as the abuser and grapist. On August 14th, 2024, the defendant posted to her social media account, "Kearney abuses drugs. All the help in the world won't cure his severe mental illness and personality disorder, and he will still be the grapist." In August 2024, defendant posted to his social media account, "Let me make something very clear. Aidan Kearney is very much a grapist." On October 15th, 2024, the defendant wrote on her social media account, "It's creepy that the grapist can't stop talking about me." In October 2024, the defendant posted to a social media account based on the lies of the grapist himself, who is a felon, when referring to the plaintiff. On or about November 12th, the defendant wrote about the plaintiff. "He did commit grape. Only thing worse than a grapist is a lying grapist." YouTube has AI and they scan my video and there's words they don't like. And so they need to be bleeped out. On or about November 15th, 2024, the defendant described the plaintiff in writing as the cult leader, abuser, racist, liar, manipulator, narcissist, sociopath. The defendant posted to her social media account, "The Grapist Lied." Defendant described the plaintiff as a grapist cult leader, which she posted to her social media account. The defendant wrote and posted to her social media account, "Kearney is very much a grapist." And the defendant posted to his social media account about a manufactured photograph of the plaintiff apparently restrained in prison with a person holding a knife to his neck, implying that the plaintiff is a criminal. The defendant on multiple diverse dates beginning in 2024 to the present has made false and defamatory statements that Kearney committed a crime. The defendant on multiple diverse dates beginning in 2024 to the present has made a false and defamatory statements in writing to third parties that Kearney committed a crime. The defendant on multiple diverse dates beginning in 2024 to the present has made false and defamatory statements in writing to third parties that Kearney suffers from a disease or illness. All of the defamatory and false statements made by the defendant were made with actual malice. All of the defamatory and false statements in writing and published by the defendant were made with actual malice. I don't see a difference between those two paragraphs. Am I missing something? Oh, in writing and published. Okay. All the defamatory statements made by the defendant were made falsely or with reckless disregard for their truthfulness. These are elements that you need to prove in a defamation case. All of the defamatory statements in writing and published by the defendant were made falsely or with reckless disregard for their truthfulness. Count 1, slander. Plaintiff restates all these paragraphs and blah, blah, blah. The defamatory and false statements of the defendant herein were slanderous. The defamatory and false statements of the defendant as described herein constitute slander per se. Per se means on its face, like automatically slanderous if you say certain things. The defamatory and false statements of the defendant as described herein were made with actual malice. As a direct and proximate result of the slander committed by the defendant, the plaintiff has suffered damages, harms, and losses. The slander was a cause of the harms and losses suffered by the plaintiff. Wherefore, the plaintiff respectfully suggests that the judgment enter against the defendant for her slander, together with interests, costs, and any other relief that the court deems just. I'm going to star this for later. We're going to come back to this. She knows a lot of things before they're made public, and so did Jennifer Coffendoffer, because Jennifer, we'll come back to that. Count 2. Libel. The plaintiff restates and reavers paragraphs 1 through 20 as if separately rewritten, expressly rewritten. The defamatory and false statements in writing and published by defendant as described herein constitute libel. The defamatory and false statements in writing and published by the defendant as described herein constitute libel per se. Slander is spoken, libel is written. The defamatory and false statements in writing and published by the defendant as described herein were written and published with actual malice. As a direct and proximate result of the libel committed by the defendant, the plaintiff has suffered damages, harms, and losses. The libel by the defendant was a cause of the harms and losses suffered by the plaintiff. Wherefore, plaintiff respectfully suggests that judgment enter against the defendant for her libel, together with interests, costs, and any other relief this court deems just. Count 3, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Kearney intended, knew, or should have known that her false and defamatory statements and writings would cause emotional distress to Kearney. The defendant's conduct as described herein was extreme and outrageous. The defendant's conduct as described herein went beyond any definitions of decency and is intolerable in social media, amongst individuals, and within the community. The defendant's conduct as described caused plaintiff to suffer severe emotional distress. The defendant's intentional infliction of emotional distress was the cause of the plaintiff's severe emotional distress. Wherefore, the plaintiff demands judgment against the defendant for intentional infliction of emotional distress in an amount that the finder of fact deems fair and just, plus costs, interests, and any other relief the court deems just. Count 4, injunctive relief. An injunction is when you ask the court to ask a person to stop doing something. 33, the plaintiff restates and reavers paragraphs 1 through 32 as if expressly rewritten. Wherefore, the plaintiff respectfully requests that the Lindsay Gattani be permanently enjoined from making any statements, post to any social media accounts, or otherwise publish any words, photographs, or any other type of communication stating that the plaintiff has committed any crime or suggests that the plaintiff has committed any crime, is a rapist, or implies that he's a rapist, that he is a felon, or suggests that he's a criminal, that the plaintiff suffers from any illness or disease, and any other false or defamatory statements of any kind. Demand for jury trial. Plaintiff demands a trial by jury of all issues presented in this action. XOXO, Aidan's attorney, David Heinlein. Don't know David Heinlein? He's from Framingham. What say you? You can't just go on social media and say false and per se defamatory things about people that are untrue. Truth is a complete defense to slander or libel. So if the things that she said can prove to be true, she can beat this. If she can't, she's not going to beat this. And the discovery will be interesting. And she's going to need a lawyer to defend her. She can't go in and defend herself in civil court in Worcester. But if he hasn't been convicted of any crimes, he hasn't been convicted of rape, he's not a felon, and all these things can be shown to be untrue, and she can't prove that they're true, she loses. People need to understand that there are ramifications for their behavior, and that you just can't get out there on the cesspool of Twitter. Twitter might let you say it. People could report it and they don't take it down. You can't go out there and publicly proclaim someone to be a rapist who has not been convicted of same. I don't know what diseases she may or may not have said that he has, but if that is not true, she will also lose, despite how much you may dislike Aidan Kearney. For someone to call someone a rapist on social media repeatedly in public forums such as that can suffer. You can be sued for money damages to be determined by a jury. Because things like that tend to damage a person's reputation. She claims he's a drug addict. If he can prove that, if she has to prove that it's true. That's her affirmative defense. Her affirmative defense is going to be all that stuff that I said was true. So it's not defamatory and it's not false. And I can say whatever I want because First Amendment, freedom of speech. She's going to have to prove the truth. Right? Of course, right. So let's take a look at this. And he may have had to file this because the statute of limitations on slander and defamation, and I'm not sure because I don't practice in Massachusetts, maybe 1 year because it's an intentional tort. In New York, intentional torts are 1 year. Statute of limitations and all this stuff happened in 2024. So there's that. Oh, look at that, Lisa. So I'm sitting here waiting for my hairdresser and the girl next to me just told me she loves Melanie. She did too. Hi, Lisa. And whoever else is in the hairdresser with you. Thank you. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Let's take a look at what Aidan posted for Jennifer Coffenoffer because she blocked him, so she can't see it. So he's asked people to pass it on to her. Let's see. And I know that people have passed it on to her because you've told me. Here we go. Stop that and start that. No, that's not what I wanted to share with you. This was yesterday. Dear Jennifer Coffenoffer at Break the Case, you might not see this because you blocked me on Twitter. So I'd ask the unblocked to please get this message to her. In previous tweets, you have made the erroneous claims that I, 1, am known for being a drug addict while sharing a video of me blowing my nose during a live stream. 2, emailed you threatening you and your children. 3, am accused of grape. All of these statements are not only untrue, but are provably false. I don't do drugs, and I'm certainly not known for being an addict. I've never emailed you about anything, let alone threatened you or your children. I've never been accused by any law enforcement agencies of graping anyone. As you may have seen, I filed a defamation lawsuit in Worcester Superior Court for $2 million yesterday because someone repeatedly made claims similar to yours. I'm asking you to immediately do the following to correct the defamatory statements seen below. 1, remove the defamatory tweets. 2, issue a public statement on your YouTube and Twitter accounts admitting that you have no evidence whatsoever that I do drugs or that I am a drug addict. 3, issue a public statement on your YouTube and Twitter accounts admitting I never emailed you or threatened you or your children. 4, issue a public statement on your YouTube and Twitter accounts admitting that I have never been accused by any law enforcement agencies of grape and that the Medfield Police Department determined after looking at video evidence that no such statement ever occurred. As a retired FBI agent who frequently is featured as an expert guest on national television broadcasts, and as someone who the former Norfolk DA spokesperson David Traub described as having, quote, an enormous Twitter reach, the things you say carry great weight with the general public. As you can imagine, the millions of people who were exposed to these defamatory statements caused me great emotional distress and damaged my reputation. I trust and hope that you will rectify this situation as quickly as possible in order to avoid further litigation. I can be reached via email, turtleboysports@gmail.com, if you'd like to discuss this more. Hope to hear from you by Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you. XOXO. A. Timothy Kearney. And there's that. Does anybody know if she's a demand letter through Twitter? This was actually posted on Twitter and YouTube. So there's that. Runkle had a very funny tweet yesterday. He said something like, the case of Kearney versus Coffenoffer is the case that I need for 2025. So I thought that was funny. Scott's got $100. She doesn't respond. Sounded like today was the drop dead date on that, Scott. So if there's no apology, I would imagine that the lawsuit is going to be heading over to whatever, probably Worcester, because that's where he lives. It's easier for him. It's more convenient for him. And you know, the damages are much higher when it can be shown that more people saw the defamatory statements, such as if you have a huge Twitter reach and you've got, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people viewing it. That's it's a bigger reach, more damages. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Tracy, we went over this, but thank you again for your super chat. Thank you, Letter Rose by Bettero, best channel on YouTube. Thank you. Oh, I love you right back. I love you so much. Letter Rose by Bettero. And look at Clerk Jim Clown became a member. Welcome on top, sending another super sticker. Thank you so much. Samantha Jones from Sex and the City. Melanie, I'm with you 100% with Vinny. Good morning. It's always a pleasure listening and watching you. And good morning to you too. Thank you so much. Boy, you have super chat. Dewey Loves Ducky says, yes, Mel, they got nothing and they want Karen Reed to have it too. Yep. Hi, Janelle. Thanks for the 5. Love your channel. Been with you from the start and you've never changed. Shouldn't the judge be stopping Brennan? Defense didn't object. I'm sure they have their reasons for that. The judge rarely stops anything on her own unless it's sometimes favorable to the prosecution. So I didn't. Should she be? She has judicial discretion. Don't you remember? She's the gatekeeper. Lola, the good dog. Thanks for the 5. Thank you for all you do. I'm in Hollywood, 2 blocks from the Sunset Fire. Oh my God. That's contained, right? Sunset Fire is done. Appreciated your live stream giving facts, resources, and California strong. Love, love, love. Love to all my friends in California. Plus mom from Texas. Loves all of us. Thanks for the 5. Free Karen Reed. Thank you so very much. Enraged Bacon coming in with this tidbit. Massall Mafia posted on X weeks ago that Brennan had visited Chloe, which is strange. She knows these things before they're made public. Well, how strange is it, being that some text messages have surfaced between her, Lindsay Gattani, Tully, and Mello. So we know that she's got them on speed dial, that she communicates with them on the regular. And apparently she also works for Jennifer Coffendoffer, editing her videos. I wonder how many of those nasty, mean videos about me and so many of you that Massall Mafia has made, that Jennifer Ms. Coffendoffer has reposted on her channel. A lot of those videos are defamatory. Be interesting. Thanks for becoming a new member, PM. Albert says, let Brennan do what he wants. The jury won't understand him. If lawyers can't make sense of it, then the average person definitely won't. Not that so much that they won't understand him. I don't know that they're going to like his vibe or his style, if you want to call it a style. I thought he was very, he came across as way too aggressive, I think, with Dr. Russell. Emily says, do they attach her wages? What if she can't pay? Well, first there has to be a judgment. There would have to be a jury verdict. Another type of judgment entered. After that, you can file a judgment against someone in court. Whether it's ever going to be collectible, whether it ever would be collectible, that is unknown. If somebody has no assets and they have no insurance to cover them for a loss such as this, and they have no income. But in general, if you're trying to enforce a judgment against someone, you can get a garnishment of their wages. There are other ways to collect by attaching property and things. But if they don't own anything, they don't have any assets, they don't have any income, it's a hard thing to collect. But I don't know for him, I don't think it's about the money. I don't think it's about the money, right? The internet is forever. Now, as far as Jennifer Coffendoffer is concerned, if he was to start a lawsuit against her and it could be proven that she said defamatory things about him that were false, knowing that they were false and or with a reckless disregard for the truth and publishing them to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, she's got a career, she's got an income, she's got assets. That's a problem. She may not have insurance to cover her for such defamatory things, in my opinion. Thank you, Suzanne. Praying for everyone in LA. Love this channel. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Thanks for being a member. Thanks, PM, for becoming a member. Jennifer Coffendoffer also knew when I was on Court TV all the way a year ago in January. She said something like, because I said, where's the dog? And she said, everyone knows where the dog is. The dog's in Vermont. She knew a year ago. And I said, and why did they rip up the basement floor? And she said, they had an insurance claim because of a flood, because a pipe burst. She knew all of it. She knew all of it. Yellow Cottage Cheese has come out on his channel and said that he is in regular contact with Chris Albert and somebody else from that side. That's where these people are getting their information from. In my opinion, certain things are being leaked on purpose via social media, and such things as astroturfing, which is a new term that we learned about covering Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. It's called astroturfing. It looks like real engagement on social media platforms, but it's bots and other people who are hired to come out and change the narrative and twist the narrative and reply in certain ways to certain comments and try and scare people away from talking about this case. Trust me, I've had my share of it. If you know, you know. What say you? Marissa, yeah, it's very obvious. A lot of the anti-Kearney people are close to the players. I don't know if anyone on the prosecution side is organic. Yeah, that's the other thing, Marissa, about this potential astroturfing. Notice how people who are on the cesspool will all have the same talking point for the day. It's like, okay, here's what we're going to push today. And everybody's squawking about, pick a topic, whatever it is, the topic of the day. But yeah, that just came out one day. It just came out. It was organic. It wasn't astroturfing. It just came out. Nobody pays me for my opinions. I cover a lot of cases. This is just one of them. And I have a connection to Norfolk County that I've told you about before that I don't need to go into again. But when Jennifer Koffendorfer got on her platform and was accusing me of covering this case for clicks and likes, trust me when I tell you that when I came out here talking about the fact that John O'Keefe did not hit by a car, I was in the minority. The minority. That was not something to get me likes and clicks at all. And I'm going to come out here and I'm going to talk about my opinion and I'm going to yell it. I don't care if anybody's watching me. What is going on here is a railroading. It is wrong. You should be horrified. You should be outraged. John O'Keefe was not hit by a car and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. I don't care if you want to call it a sideswipe. I don't care if you want to call it a clipping. I don't care if you want to call it just his elbow smashing into the taillight. If his elbow smashed into that taillight at 24 miles an hour, his elbow would have been shattered. Shattered. The taillight wouldn't have shattered, but his elbow would have been shattered. You don't need a degree in biomechanical engineering to figure that out. There was not one bruise to John O'Keefe's body below the neck, except for a bruise on the outside of his right hand and what looked like animal attack injuries to his right arm. You don't need to be a biomechanical engineer or a medical doctor to figure that out. A taillight does not break like that. And a taillight is not made of glass either. That was another thing that Brennan kept saying, that there were glass shards embedded in his arm. Really? When did anybody ever testify about glass shards being embedded in John O'Keefe's right arm? There weren't any. You know why? First of all, they didn't take any tissue samples. It's not in the autopsy report. And trying to say that there were microscopic pieces of a taillight found in a shirt, by the way, not a sweater. I mean, did this guy even watch the trial? Did he even watch the trial? Or did Lally write his script? Oh, Lally's coming in trying to tag him. That's funny. In my opinion, just a joke. Bailey's mom says you literally have to let go of all common sense to think Karen's guilty. Yeah, or you need to be a best friend of one of the people involved in this case. That is made it their life's mission to get on Twitter and tweet about nothing but Karen Reed is guilty, hang her in town square. She's a Salem witch, drown her 15, 20 times a day. Literally have nothing else going on in your life, that this is what you choose to do with your day. It's mind numbing. Mind numbing. Hi, Brittany. Blocking a mod is an automatic ban, just so you know. Paul Revere, can you see Brittany? Oh, and then she's talking about the debris. He's talking about the debris field. The debris field? The debris field. The debris field that nobody took pictures of? Debris field. You don't even have measurements of where John O'Keefe's body was found. There was no debris field when Canton PD got there. Sergeant Good shot home, shot back with his leaf blower, started blowing away some of the layers of snow, and they uncovered a piece of what may be a clear cocktail glass. That's a debris field? Where are the pictures of said debris field? That was insane that he was allowed to get away with saying all of that stuff that he was just making up on the fly. Facts not in evidence. And then asking Dr. Russell, do you know how fast the car was going when the car hit him? Where's the crash report? Where's the motor vehicle accident report from this fatality? Proctor determined within 16 hours when he was texting his buddies that evening was a motor vehicle homicide, and they were going to pin it on the girl. Why didn't you fill out a motor vehicle accident report and file it with your RMV as required by law? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, they don't have an answer for that. Yeah, whole lot of Ipsy Dixit. A lot of facts not in evidence. No pictures, crime scene left unattended for hours, evidence collected inappropriately, no chain of custody. How did it even go to trial? How did that evidence even get in? How was it even allowed to be admitted? We are in the land of Ipsy Dixit, upside down, Twilight Zone, and we have emojis for all of that stuff. J. Michael RN, thanks for being a member for 6 months. In what world does a cop killed on a cop's lawn mean that the landowner isn't investigated? They were just looking for a friendly. They were, J. Michael, they were just looking for a friendly. They're waiting for a friendly. And they got one. Blank. Blank has been inserting himself into Albert business for decades. A lot of that came out during the trial. Some of it didn't. Talked about the Lapalato brothers, the Lapalito brothers. My pronunciation of that name is not correct, I know, but Blank's been jumping in. He's been jumping into the Albert investigations and business for years. And years it just did. Just did. Innocence Unveiled. That's a great name. I've never seen two cases like we have right now with Richard Allen and Karen Reed. These two cases are very scary. And I know there are more, but these two are so bad, it's embarrassing as a citizen of the USA. You're not the only one, because guess what? This is worldwide. Worldwide viewers, if you're outside the USA, tell us where you're watching from. One of my good friends from Ireland was in here before. She tells us that they have a huge following in Ireland following this case. We've got South Africa in the house, a lot of Australian viewers. Argentina, UK, Ireland, Finland, Thailand. That's Jay from Finland, UK, Ireland. The world is watching. And if you hear Vinnie saying stuff like this, I'm feeling a little less gaslit today. Hi, Virginia. Thanks for the 5. I keep going back to Gallagher saying taillight broke when removing it. Yep, he did. He said it broke when we took it out. I mean, they need more time for closing next time, and they need to focus on all of the things that we've been talking about for so long that we think need to be focused on. So many things. Reasonable doubt. If you can think of any other way, if you're back there thinking of any other way that this could have happened, that's reasonable doubt. This guy, you know what? I'm not even going to mention his name because I'm not even going to give him the 2 minutes of fame that he's clearly looking for. That with his disgusting videos. I'm just going to go through, see if Koffendover has apologized to Aidan. Does anybody know? Because she's trying to bury all of her tweets. People keep posting it. She keeps deleting it. She really has the hate on for Karen Reed, and I have no idea why. There's some kind of an agenda there, and it's insane. South Africa in the house. Tucson, she hasn't apologized, Romy, huh? I don't think so. Well, if that lawsuit drops today, we'll be sure to come back and cover that. I think we're going to have more to talk about also today on the California fires. So you're going to want to hit the subscribe button. It's free. Hit the bell notification. Make sure you set it to all notifications because sometimes I just go live without any notice. Make sure you have your phone enabled for notifications so that you will get the notifications through your phone. And then you won't miss a thing. Let me know if you've got any further comments, questions, concerns, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up and move on to some other subjects today. But Mike, that's a good question. In what other world? I mean, I've heard people say, well, they had no grounds to go in the house. I've heard people say they invited them in the house. Yeah, well, Lank and Good said, I think it was Lank and Good that went in the house. They never left the foyer. And then why did they go and conduct the next interviews of Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe and Brian Albert at Jen McCabe's house? And we know from Jen McCabe's phone data that she left 34 Fairview to go back to her house for that interview. We also know she called Lank back at 9 a.m. to say, oh, there's some things I want to add. Can you come back over so that I can tell you that I heard Karen say, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And I think she said that in front of some cops too. Can you make sure you put that in your report? Jess says the corruption is unimaginable. This is a good time to remind people to educate and vote for your local prosecutors or any elected public official. You are correct. We elect our judges in New York. They are appointed in Massachusetts. So unfortunately, you don't get to vote for your judges, but you do get to vote for your district attorney. Michael Marcy's been in office since something like 2010. He's never run unopposed, right? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will. Bob Bergman says the Reed case is the definition of reasonable doubt. Yes. Of course, Crafty Chris, they did have a duty to go in the house, make sure there weren't others injured or worse. How come Jen McCabe didn't freak out and run inside to make sure that her own family was okay? I mean, when they came upon John O'Keefe's body on the lawn, they had no idea how he died. He could have been shot. There could have been an intruder. Somebody could have came over and shot her sister and her brother-in-law. And the kids, my God, the kids. Why didn't she run in that house to make sure that everyone was okay? She should not have known what caused him to be laying out there. Could have been a million things. Could have been a home intruder, like it happened in the Brian Camp case. How many of you followed the Brian Camp case with me? Why wasn't she freaking out? Instead, she's like, oh, Karen's the only one who saw the body, therefore she's guilty because she knew where the body was. How come Jen McCabe wasn't freaking out like, holy duck, I better run inside and make sure that my family is okay? Come on, man. Come on, man. That is just not normal behavior. It's not normal behavior. Exactamundo. That is common sense. Let's all smash the like button. I don't know if Paul Revere had a question. There's 4,000 people here. I can't see it. I can't scroll through it. Brittany, if you want to text it to me, I can try and answer it. Baby dog toes, because then how would she control the narrative with the first responders? Yes. Strange credulity that she didn't go inside. Doesn't it though? Jack said everything Jen McCabe did wasn't what a normal person would do unless they knew something. There's a man passed out in the snow at 34 Fairview. Can you send somebody? There's a man passed out in the snow. Not officer down, officer down. There's a police officer who seems to be immobile, lying on the lawn of my sister. No, my dear friend that I've known for 10 years, who I loved so much. No, there's the man passed out in the snow. Can you send somebody? Norman says lots of women are jealous of other women. It causes them to be blind of common sense. Truth. And it's mostly women out there bashing other women. And you're right about that. And isn't that weird? And I didn't know until I entered this strange world of YouTube that I was going to be such a target either. Because who would think that people are like that? You just don't think. You think people are, average people are good. You don't think that the reasonable person goes out there attacking people on social media, posting pictures of them, pictures of their kids, doxing their address. All that happened to me. That's why I'm not on Twitter. And you think you could do stuff like that and there's going to be no ramifications for your behavior? Think again. Think again. So let's see. Going back in time on her Twitter feed, Coffindorfer on back to the 8th. She has not yet apologized. Not seen any public apology from her, and I don't think we will. Yep. This bucket, first thing I would have done is check that my sister and her family were okay. Yep. Heidi says the two things that baffle me are that Alberts never came out. And if an officer was killed, why isn't there any police presence sitting in the courtroom to support the brother? Yeah. And also, why was there nobody guarding the house until the CERT team could get there? Why? Why wasn't it cordoned off? Why wasn't it secured? Because there was snow? Rogue Towney says, but Higgins saw a tall, dark guy come in, half truths. Yep. Beads of truth. A good liar always has beads of truth in there, Beads of truth. Not saying he's a liar. But when did that story come up? Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Why didn't Jen McCabe once try calling Brian or Nicole that morning prior to arriving at 34 Fairview? Not once when even on the way to 34 Fairview. Right, not until she was in front of the house, right? 607, 608. Olivia, she did call Julie Albert, right? Because remember we looked the other day at Julie Albert's statement, said she found out that John was dead because Jen called her at 4:55 in the morning, and that's how she knew. Wasn't it Julie Albert who said that? That Jen called her? Do Jen's call records reflect that she called her? Refresh my recollection, because why would she be calling Julie Albert? Of all people, why wouldn't she be calling her sister? If her testimony and all of her statements say that she saw Karen Reed's car outside 34 Fairview and saw it inch up and then move up and then move out again, and then it left. Why wouldn't she call her sister? Why would she call Julie Albert at 4:55? Yeah, missed call from Jen McCabe. Yep. Why would she call Julie Albert of all people? Think about it. It makes no sense. Julie Albert's not related to her. Chris Albert is her brother-in-law. Jen's sister is Nicole. So why would she do that? It doesn't make sense. Butt dial. At 4:55 a.m., right after Karen called her, right after Kaylee actually called her. It makes no sense. It's strange credulity, unless she had to tell Julie Albert something. There was something Julie Albert needed to know. Right? Of course, right. Oh, okay. Thanks, Brittany. There was a question about how can Hank bring up evidence in a second trial that was disproven in the first additional narrative that he got away with? Well, that wasn't a trial, what we watched the other day. That was a hearing, a Daubert hearing. Trust me when I tell you that if he tries to bring that up during trial, there's going to be some very strong objections. And based on now that the defense knows what he's going to try and do, they may make some motions in lemonade, as we call them, because the closed captioning's called them motions in lemonade, to exclude certain things before trial and to not let him get away with that by phrasing things and categorizing things as actual facts, which are not actual facts. It's improper. DJ, she didn't miss the call. She answered it, but they're claiming she missed it. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, whether it was Julie Albert or whether it was Nicole Albert. Coffee Cake says, I thought she called Julie to see if John had slept over on their couch if he walked home with Chris that night. Actually, I think it was just a ploy, but that's the way she represented it. Yeah, that's what she said. That's what she said, but she's the one who testified that she saw their car outside 34. Why would she call her sister first? Why would the first person that she calls at 4:55 after Karen called her be Julie Albert? I don't know. Ding, 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 ding. Raquel, it's Colin's mother. Mama Bear needed to protect her son, hence why she showed up in a storm with donuts. Always did it. Always showed up with donuts for little Bri-Bri's birthday. She was going to just leave him in his car in blizzard conditions, right? But didn't she also bring coffee? Right? This is a new trial, Mr. Jackson. New trial. This is the way we do things in Massachusetts, Ms. Is something funny, Ms. Reed? Do you think something is funny, Ms. Reed? But doesn't Dunkin' Donuts have cameras? Yeah, probably. Did anybody go look? No. No, because when did she come up with that story anyway? At trial? Was that the first time she ever told the Dunkin' Donuts story? Remember that John O'Keefe's mom told Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts to make a timeline. You guys better make a timeline so that you know, so that you remember everything. I would submit to you that there was more than a timeline done for this case. There may have been a script. Everyone said 12:10. How many people said 12:10 on the stand? 12:10, 12:10. John says, how did Julie find out that John was dead from a missed call from Jen? Great point. But here's the problem. Proctor did that witness statement, I think, right? Unsigned. It wasn't recorded in any way. They all came into court and just said, oh, Proctor wrote it down wrong. Proctor wrote it down wrong. And guess what's going to happen next Wednesday when he has his trial with the MSP or whatever he has, the hearing? If he's terminated, guess who's going to be the fall guy? It was Proctor. He wrote it down wrong. They already tried to roll on him during the first trial. It's going to only get worse. They said Chris wasn't there, but we went over his statement the other day. And he said to Proctor, Buchanan, who took his statement, after formal introductions, by the way, despite the fact that Proctor had been in touch with Julie Albert to babysit his baby 10 days before the murder of John O'Keefe. In the statement, Chris followed to 34 Fairview after the waterfall. It's telling you what the document says. It's in the papers. Free Karen Reed, Fab 4 for the win. Thank you for your 20. I've been rewatching the Karen Reed trial. I'm only on day 14, and I didn't realize how many of the witnesses had lied so much compared to their grand jury testimony. I don't understand why they're letting them get away with it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it all remains to be seen. We rewatched Proctor's cross-examination the other night when I did a stream on the new information that came out that he was going to be disciplined next Wednesday, the 15th, in his MSP procedure. And we rewatched it, and there was a lot of little things that I had forgotten that I think many of us had forgotten, because when Proctor's cross-examination started out, AJ started off with all of those horrific text messages. And I think we were so spun out by that it was hard to pay attention to some of what seemed like minutia at the time. But when you go back and listen to it again, is really important testimony. I mean, the jury is the finder of fact. It's all about who they believe. Doesn't really matter what we think. Matters what the jury thinks. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for the 5. Is it typical to have a murder trial even though the death certificate doesn't state homicide? Right. The death certificate says undetermined. It is unusual. It is unusual to indict someone for murder when the death certificate does not say homicide. And we listened to Proctor's testimony again, and in his testimony, it was brought out that he tried to get the medical examiner to change the death certificate to homicide, and his buddies like DeChico and whoever else was on that text thread said, oh, dude, you're such a rookie move. You should have let me do it. And he said something like, I'm paraphrasing, Yuri and I spoke to her 3 times. She's not changing it, something like that. And then he said, well, what do you expect? She's a whack job. He loves to call women whack jobs. Then on cross, he tried to pretend that he wasn't talking about the medical examiner. But he was. We know he Because, you know, common sense, in my opinion. Sherry, thanks for the 5. I forget who it was. Matt, maybe. Said that he heard Karen yelling, then looked right at Karen and said, tell Karen to shut the duck up. Weird vibes. Yeah. It was Matt. And he said that she was yelling and screaming outside my house. And I was so afraid that all the neighbors were going to wake up. And yeah, that was Matt McCabe, which was interesting because it was a blizzard. And Matt McCabe didn't say, oh, you're going to go out in a blizzard and look for John. Why don't I drive? Why don't I come with you? No, he's just like, okay, go. Bye. That was kind of weird too. Wasn't that also a little bit weird? In my opinion. Crazy, 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 crazy. That's where we are for today, folks. So unless anything else breaks, make sure you have the notifications set. Make sure you have your bell on and all that good stuff. Hit the like button on your way out if you're hate watching. And I know you are. I know you are. You can smash that like button anyway, or smash the dislike button because, you know, engagement. And look, you clip my content and then you use it on other platforms and you use it to make mean videos of me. So at least hit a button while you're here, right? Wouldn't that be the courteous thing to do if you were a reasonable person? Thank the moderators because it is not easy what they do by keeping the chat classy on cases like this, especially like this. Other things have been divisive too, like surprisingly, the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing has been quite divisive as well. Exactly. Or just put I hate you in the chat. It'll count right before she deletes it. Perfect. Engagement, you know? Thanks, moderators. I love you with all of my heart. Channel members who are cupcakes, thank you so much for being here with me all the time for everything that we talk about together. And also, I was never hating on Vinnie the other day. What are you talking about? Me? Absolutely not. I said I've been a fan of Vinnie since the 90s. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for engaging, though. Appreciate that. No, the Massachusetts State Police hearing is not open to the public. It will not be Zoomed, televised, nothing like that. Have a great day, everyone. Smash the like button on your way out. And if you smash it on the way out, Scott says he will not give your DNA to the Canton PD or MSP. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You can do it. Peace, everyone. Cali Strong. Come back and talk about that in a little while.